And Joe the Shirt is off the cuff. Welcome back once again. Welcome back, everybody. Today being Tuesday, the 26th today of August, the year of our Lord 2014. Welcome back. Thank you for getting back to me. Look, a show in just a week later. Progress. As you all know, last week the show I did last week was very personal and very tough for me. Wasn't my best work. But that wasn't the point of the show. I really needed to get that out of me, and I really needed to express it. And those of you who listened in, thanks. Honestly, I don't know what you were expecting. I'm sure it wasn't, 43-year-old man crying on the air. But that's what you get sometimes around here. I've got no problem with crying. It'll be like what, third time I've done it on the air? Yeah, that's fine. Better than crying after sex. I was going to do the show yesterday, but I got sidetracked. But it is a show that I've been wanting to do for quite the while, actually. But I've been avoiding it because I didn't have my own personal perspective on the situation. What's going on in the Middle East. This is what the title of the show is, A Perspective on the Middle East. Now, before I get into it, I'm here to let you know that this show, more than anything else, is for entertainment purposes. It's not the news, and it's also more often than not an opinion piece by me, somebody who doesn't know everything about everything, but likes to spout off about everything. And I seriously doubt that anybody listening to today's show is going to like a lot of the things I have to say. I'm pretty sure anybody that's on any side of the situation in the Middle East will find something I say today wrong, offensive, possibly evil, and that's okay. I'm talking about even friends of mine that listen to the show sometimes. There are going to be some things I'm going to say that they're not going to really enjoy. Now, the reason that it took me this long, like I said, to come up with this perspective is because, as one of my listeners has pointed out, she even told me that she wasn't planning on listening to the show because I'm not there and I can't judge what's going on there. I don't know what's going on there. And I find this logic to be a little flawed. I mean, you don't have to be somewhere that something is happening to know that it's happening. How the perspectives of the sides involved, you may not understand, you may not agree with, and you may also include other forces at work in these conflicts. Like I say, you don't have to be somewhere to know that something is happening or did happen. Very simple example is, I know my father fucked my mother. That's why I'm here. Okay, like I said, it's simple, but I know it happened. How it happened, I don't know. I don't know if it was a romantic night. I don't know if she was raped. She's not something she'd be willing to talk about to begin with. But we know it happened. The exact, specifics of it, that's what I don't know. That's what nobody but those two people know. But the real reason it took me so long to come up with this show was because this whole situation in the Middle East is boring me to death. And I know that sounds incredibly flippant. I know it does, but I don't mean it to be exactly flippant. What I mean to say is that this has been going on forever. Yes, in recent weeks, things have escalated. More people have died. More people have been tortured and kidnapped and raped and bombed and shot at. And yes, but that's just in the last recent weeks. What about a few years ago? What about a couple of decades ago? This has been going on since the 40s. That's the official, actually, way of looking at it, the modern way of looking at it, I don't presume to know what's going on there exactly. I do know that people are dying, people are killing each other. I do know that in the very middle of it is the nation of Israel, and of course their enemies, which tend to be comprised mostly of Muslims. And last time I checked, the Middle East has quite a few, and like I said, I find it boring because you know what? People killing each other over religion has been happening for so fucking long. The concept itself is boring. I've talked about it a billion times, and I found it interesting for the longest time. But now I'm finding it boring because you think, we could have come out of this stage in our development by now. But no, we still keep doing it. Now, before I really dive in here, I wanted to thank the music today from Nick. Let's see. Well, hold on. Let me read this right. Nikki Lindsay King, their first song, "Don't Box Me In." I didn't quite hear a woman's voice there, but that could have been a man named Nikki. It's possible, but I did enjoy it though. If you live anywhere that isn't the Middle East, but you happen to be Jewish or Muslim, then you have an opinion on what's going on. You have a definite side that you've taken on. But the rest of the world, by and large, has not. Okay, there's nothing really in it for them. Okay, your average Shintoist in China or Japan doesn't really give a shit if Jews and Muslims are killing each other. They don't. Your average Native American doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a peace pipes fuck. Okay, he really doesn't. But the only reason I've ever cared about it is because a lot of my friends are in fact Jewish, and I actually don't know any Muslims that I can think of right now, on the top of my head. I know I've met Muslims in my life, but I've never, it's not like we hang out in the same circles or anything, Actually, it's not like most of my Jewish friends and I hang out in the same circles either. But we came together and we did put aside our religious differences, and we were able to hang out, chill, relax. Hell, I married a Jewish woman, divorced a Jewish woman, I'm living with a Jewish woman. That is not to say necessarily that I would have any objections to being with a Muslim woman. It just depends, how devout Muslim you are. Just like it depends on how devout a Jew you are. Like my girlfriend is Jewish. She recognizes herself as Jewish, but she's not the most Orthodox Jew on the planet. I mean, those lobster tails we had the other week can attest to that. But, I think we should start out a little bit with the history of Israel, because by and large, when I've asked people I know that are Jewish, friends of mine, and some of them quite decently educated people, about how it is the state of Israel came to be into existence, I'd say easily over 90% of the people I asked were ignorant of it. Because I wanted to know, and I didn't know. And I don't blame them for this, okay? Most of us in the modern day and age are very ignorant of our own histories, okay? I got to do a Google search to find out how many Puerto Ricans are in Puerto Rico, So, I don't blame them for not knowing a lot about where they came from. The modern secular religious person is trying to live in the modern secular world and try to get along with everybody and not hold on to the grievances and grudges of the Orthodox past. And if you happen to be an Orthodox religious person, more power to you. Do what you want to do. But, you all have to understand that not everybody's going to agree with you. Okay? So let's take a look at the history of Israel. This is very cursory history. It's not like I went off and investigated everything, but I'm going to give you a quick rundown, and then we can talk a little bit more about it. Okay. Israel shares borders with Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, the state of Palestine, Egypt, and the Gulf of Aqaba. Talk about a fish out of water. That's a tough neighborhood to be living in, all right? Just saying. Its financial center is Tel Aviv, its capital is Jerusalem, and it's not recognized internationally as its own country. Not every country on the planet says, yeah, it's the country of Israel. No, not a lot of them don't. You guessed it, yes, most of those other countries tend to be Muslim. But I'm just saying. And also, it's also in dispute whether or not Jerusalem really is the capital of Israel, because it's also being claimed by Palestinians. Now, how did this all came to be? Because there wasn't always the state of Israel. It wasn't always there. There were always Jews there, but not always Israel. Well, let's see. I looked up, like I said, very cursory stuff here. You guys feel free to write in and share with me anything that I may have overlooked or maybe that you'd like to add. Happy to hear from it. Let's see. On November 29th, 1947, United Nations General Assembly recommends the partition plan of Mandatory Palestine. Mandatory Palestine was a British-controlled area. And they decided that they were going to split up what was left. They were pulling out. They were done there. They didn't want to be there anymore. They decided, you know what? This place is nuts. We're leaving. And rather than just leaving, they decided they were going to chop up this area in the world and just assign it to people. May 14th, 1948, David Ben-Gurion, executive head of the Zionist Organization and president of the Jewish Agency for Palestine, declared, quote, the establishment of a Jewish state. An independent state upon the termination of the British mandate for Palestine. Okay. This may have irked some of the new Israel's neighbors, because on May 15, 1948, the very next day, neighboring Arab states invaded Palestine. And it has been a source of a little anger ever since then. We'll get more into that real quick. But if you want to know a little bit more about Israel, population, a little over 8 million. 75% of the Israelis are Jewish, comprised of about, 6,110,600. That's a rough estimate. And about 1,686,000 people designated as Arabs, mostly Muslim. Okay. It defines itself as a Jewish democratic state. It is the 43rd largest economy in the world, has the highest standard of living in the Middle East, and has one of the highest life expectancies in the world. I find that hard to believe. I mean, what kind of special math are they using? The ones that don't include the bombings, the bullets, the missiles? Is that what's going on here? Okay, I mean, maybe if you eliminate all that, I'm sure the life expectancy there is pretty high. But that's your cursory, quick overview on the history of how Israel came to be and what it is in your very, very basic terms. And we're going to get back to that after our first break with more Nikki Lindsay King and his song, One More Day. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff, and I'll be right back. Show the shirt is off the cuff. All right. Okay, we just had the quick history of Israel. Like I said, super duper quick. I mean, if you went to the bathroom, you missed it. Okay, but I want to talk first before I get into the what's going on over there. I want to talk to you guys. First and foremost, I encourage all of you who listen to me, who listen to anything that's got to do with the world around us, the news, what you read on the internet, the people you talk to. I encourage you to find people to talk these things about that disagree with you. Okay? Find people that do not share your point of view. Because I got to tell you, if all you ever talk to are people that you know already agree with you, you are never going to learn anything. Okay? You're just not. One of the things I've been doing in the last couple of months is I've been listening to a talk radio, which I always do, but more often than not, I like to listen to entertaining talk radio. I'll listen to sports, or I'll listen to the Heidi and Frank show, which is one of my favorites. Because they're entertainment. They're not. They're like me. They're not meant to really give you the news. All right. If you're getting your news from anybody like me or Jon Stewart or Stephen Colbert or Bill Maher, then you're not getting the news. That being said, please keep listening. But recently, I've been listening to one particular gentleman. His name is Spreaker Dennis. Fascinating man. Very intelligent, very well educated, very well accomplished. He's an author. I believe he's a professor. He is one of the very, very popular syndicated radio talk show hosts. You listen to him right here in Los Angeles on AM 870. If you happen to be in the market for an older conservative white Jew, this is your guy. Okay? He's on in the mornings, I think from 7 to 11 or 8 to 12, something like that. 4 hours in the morning. Check him out. And you know what? And even if you're not particularly interested in what an older white male Jewish conservative has to say, check him out anyway, because you know what? You might hear things that you wouldn't hear from somebody else that just simply agrees with everything you say, your perspective on life. Find somebody you can argue with occasionally. Jesus Christ, how fucking boring is it to be with a bunch of nodding heads? But yeah, Spreaker Dennis, good stuff. He is a conservative man. He's a Republican. He's Jewish, and he is very, very much involved in talking about what's going on in the Middle East, and especially what's going on to Israelis, to Jews there and around the world. And he's got a definite opinion of it. He doesn't think both sides are equal in fault or in morality. He definitely believes that the other side is wrong. And he definitely believes that, groups like ISIS or Hamas are evil. And we've seen some of their work on the recent videos, and that's disgusting. Posting videos of a man getting beheaded, posting videos of a woman and threatening to kill her if the United States doesn't come up with $26.6 million. I'm sorry to say that's never going to happen. They're not going to come up with that money, And I'm sorry, but we don't deal with terrorists. That's been the party line for a long time, and I agree with it. But let's say you don't agree with what Hamas or ISIS do. You know what? There are a lot of regular, everyday Palestinians, Syrians, Muslims in general, that don't always necessarily agree with a lot of what very militant Israelis do. And I'm not saying that Israel is an evil state that's going after the Muslims. I'm just saying that I'm willing to bet that there are a few that might feel that way. Okay? Just a couple. Think about it now. I'm not saying they represent everybody. Just like, ISIS and Hamas does not represent every Muslim on the planet, I'm willing to bet that there are Israelis that have no problem with the idea of torturing, murdering Muslims that don't need to be tortured or murdered. Who are more than happy to violate their human rights. And if you think that Israeli doesn't exist, then you live in a big hole in the ground with a big rock on top. They do exist, because your average Israeli is not like your garden variety Jew here in the United States, okay? He's not like that nice guy Moishe at the deli, all right? Not like that guy. No. The average Israeli Jew is the kind of Jew that's more than happy to Krav Maga and Uzi right up your ass, all right? So don't be thinking that these are people that are not born under harsh circumstances. These are people that are born where everybody around them is their enemy, and they are forced into military service, men and women. Okay? So don't think that these are, your garden variety, oh, well, what are we going to do? No. They're going to do something to you. Now, one of the biggest questions you keep hearing and reading is, doesn't Israel have a right to defend itself? Doesn't Israel have a right to exist? And those are two very different questions. And they both have the same answer. Does Israel have a right to defend itself? Yes, absolutely. Does Israel have a right to exist? Yes, absolutely. But there's a little caveat there for me. And this is going to sound bad, so please don't get pissed off just yet. I don't think they should have formed the state of Israel in the first place. Not because I have anything against Jews. Love the Jews. But I don't think any state, any system of government should be based on religion. Because anytime you have a system of government based on religion, there are going to be citizens or people that just live in that country who are now going to be second-class citizens. By definition, that's what's going to happen. Okay, if you're living in a Jewish state and you happen to be Muslim, odds are you're not going to get treated the same. Just like if you happen to be a Christian living in a Muslim country, you're not going to get treated like everybody else. Because like I said, I don't think that there should be any Muslim countries. I don't. I think that, we should try to follow the example that we have here in the United States, where we, try to cut out all ties of religion from our federal government, where we say, okay, you know what? I know most of us are Christian, but that's not a fair way to decide how things get done around here. How about we say everybody gets a vote, and we take it from there, And that, in an ideal world, is the way it's supposed to go, and that's how I'd like it to be everywhere. In Israel, in Syria, in Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, excuse me. Because, like I said, by definition, when you are based that way, you're going to have second-class citizens. You're going to have people that feel disenfranchised. You're going to have people that believe that the government is not really looking out for them, and odds are they're not. I think it's important to try to, like I said, separate your government from your religion. I'd prefer it if you just got rid of religion altogether, but that's never going to happen. And I also know that we can't put the genie back in the bottle. We're not going back in time. Israel is here to stay. Okay? Believe that. All right? Israel is here to stay. And the question is always, is there ever going to be peace in the Middle East? The answer is no. everybody keeps always talking about this, about geopolitics, political, this, that, the other thing, and religion, that, and excuse me. But the simple, true answer is, the answer is no. There will never be peace in the Middle East. But here's the interesting part for you. You could wipe out every Jew there is in the Middle East. Wipe them all out, ship them off somewhere, what have you. But you know what would happen after you got rid of all the Jews in the Middle East? After a 3-day party, one Arab man would look up at another Arab man and go, you know, Ahmed, that was some good partying. You're right, Maz Jabrani, that was a good party. But you know what, Ahmed? What, Maz Jabrani? I never did like those Shiite Muslims so much. And you know what, Ahmed? Now that I think about this, those Sunnis are kind of full of themselves, aren't they? And then before you know it, they're at it again. Okay? It wouldn't make a difference. Because it's already happening there, all right? Shiite Muslims killing Sunnis, Sunni Muslims killing however many other type of Muslims there are. If I understand, there's a lot. You know, just like there's a lot of types of Jews and a lot of type of Christians. People will find a way to kill themselves over religion, even when their religion is the same. I mean, you're ever going to have peace in the Middle East? No! Short of a nuclear bomb going off in the middle of Jerusalem, no, it's never going to happen. And even then, it's still it's probably going to be a fight the next day. When you have a place, a very small tract of land, that 3 of the major religions claim as the focal point of their religion, as the source, as their most holiest of places on the planet Earth, you gotta believe that they're all gonna stay around to see who blinks first. You know, so don't think for a second that there's ever gonna be peace in the Middle East. I wish it would end. I do, and it's the job of the news to report what's going on over there, and that's fine. But I don't get angry at my girlfriend or at my friends or even at myself or my family members when we don't want to watch this particular story anymore, because we've heard it. It hasn't changed. It's just better televised. It's on YouTube. Okay? It hasn't changed. So that's why I said I find it boring. The concepts behind it are absolutely fascinating, but what's actually going on since the 1940s, officially, you know, how can I not be bored by it? You know, we'll have more when we get back. Cheery episode today. My God, I might have to commit suicide bombing. Shit, bomb my studio. Anyways, we'll be back in a little bit. Here's more music by Nikki Lindsay King. Their song, Puppets. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff, and I'll be right back. Joe the Shirt is off the cuffs once again. Okay. We're pulling out of the Middle East. Okay, we're doing that right now, and we're gonna go to one of our lighter segments, the wisdom of rappers. Today's wisdom comes from the one and only Coolio and his song "Gangsta's Paradise." I have a little excerpt here. Let's check out what the man's got to say. Power and the money, money and the power. Minute after minute, hour after hour. Everybody's running, but half of them ain't looking. What's going on in the kitchen, but I don't know what's cooking. If they say I got to learn, but nobody's here to teach me. If they can't understand it, how can they reach me? I guess they can't. I guess they won't. I guess they front. That's why I know my life is out of luck. Fool. Been spending most of their lives living in the gangster's paradise. And then there's a chorus. And actually, now, when I first picked out this song, I didn't realize that the part I was picking actually pertained so well to today's topic. But I think that what I'm taking from this today is, if they can't understand it, how can they reach me? They say I got to learn, but nobody's here to teach me. Don't tell me, that I'm a piece of shit and I need to improve myself when there's nothing here to improve myself with. I don't have the tools. I don't have the experience. I don't have the teachings, the knowledge. And it's tough. You know what? I've been doing this show now for a couple of years, and when I first started putting it together, it was because I was doing it with a partner of mine. My buddy, he asked me, and it's like, hey, let's do this. And I'm like, okay, how do you do that? And he's like, I don't know. I thought maybe you'd know. And I'm like, no. And it took us a while to figure out, find a site that's willing to put us on. What type of equipment do we have to get? What files do we have to put here? How do we get that picture on there in the first place? But you know what? So how can we get music? And then I go, you know what? Now that I've done it, now that I've seen how it's done, it's easy. This is second nature to me. But if nobody is willing to give you a chance, then you're not going to have one. And then what's left is that you have to take a chance. And when you take things, people shoot at your ass. So it's pretty deep in my opinion. It really is. And we're back again to Russia and Ukraine. Just all the fun and easy stories today, huh? Well, actually, this is a not quite as bad here, not quite as heavy. I mean, it's still going on, just like I've predicted it would. Russia trying to take over its old states. And Putin is pissed off. Russian's leader there. He's pissed off. He's tired of the economic sanctions that the rest of the world are giving him. All the shit, all the static he's got to catch. So he's responded by considering closing airspace in to European airlines to Europe, Asia, routes to retaliate against the Aeroloft sanctions. Vedomosti, the Russian business daily, reported Tuesday, citing several anonymous official sources. If applied, the ban would affect Air France, British Airways, and Lufthansa, as well as Aeroflot, which collect revenues from air carriers crossing Siberian airspace en route to Asian destinations. So they're telling people, well, if you're going to fuck us over with these sanctions, well, these are the sanctions we're going to give you. We're not going to let you fly over our airspace. Yeah, take the long way, bitch. Yeah, take the long way. Down that road and around the building. Yeah, take the long way. Yeah, 4 lights. Yeah, take the long way. And, of course, there are import bans. For instance, more than anything, chicken. Apparently, Russia imports a lot of food from a lot of other countries. They began rolling out sweeping embargoes on food imports from the United States, members of the European nation, and allied nations in response to those countries' economic sanctions against Moscow. Let's see, anything particular? Let's see what in particular. He told a meeting of government officials that products covered by the ban would include meat and poultry, fish, dairy products, fruit and vegetables.
Imports of infant food would not be prohibited, though. So you can still bring in baby food. Now, this comes about a year or so after Russia said that they would no longer export Russian babies to the United States for adoption. Which is a big deal, economically, because it turns out Russia imports about something like 27% of all of the chicken around here. Yeah, Russians, they love our chicken. We're finger licking good. Who knew? And they've also decided to extend Edward Snowden's residency in Russia. That's the former fugitive from the former U.S. intelligence contractor. He's been allowed to stay in the country, not indefinitely, but openly. They're saying, it's like, well, we're not saying we're never going to give him back. We're just saying we're not going to give him back now. More retaliations. Washington, the U.S. Economic sanctions against Russia continue over the Ukraine, which is actually helping Alaska. Apparently, some Alaskan fisheries and fishermen are asking the United States to put a ban on importing Russian fish products. Flounders, tarpon, lobsters, and caviar, saying that we're going to impose sanctions on them. Let's impose sanctions that will actually help Alaskan fishermen. A little selfish, but I understand that actually. And it continues, and don't tell me that there isn't a Cold War, okay? We are in a Cold War. Okay, no one's talking about nuclear weapons yet. But what they are talking about is Russian bomber planes and fighters, coming within 200 miles of our airspace. Now, mind you, they are in legal airspace. It's free for them to go through there. But when you get to a certain point in airspace along the border of any country, you're going to get checked out, especially if your plane happens to be military. So anytime they come in within 200 miles of this particular border, we send out planes to see what the fuck it is they think they're doing up here. Mind you, we're not allowed to engage them. We're not allowed to shoot them down or anything. But, we are letting them know we see you, back your shit up. And they do the same thing with us, okay? If we go flying within that space around their airspace, they will send out planes as well and tell us to back our shit up. And that's kind of scary because, in the old days, everybody was worried about nuclear weapons. And I'm not saying that's not something to worry about, but it's even scarier now. Because now we really have so much better technology for sending out weapons. And it doesn't have to be like the big-ass, gigantic nukes of the old days that just wipe out everything. Now we're talking about, tactical, small nukes that could, fit into a car, nukes that you could shoot from a plane or a submarine. We're not dropping bombs, we're shooting missiles at you. We don't need the silos like we used to. Our ships and planes are the silos now. And I don't think the Russia or U.S. are looking to get into a nuclear conflict, but there are other countries on this planet that do have nuclear capabilities, and a lot more of them that are looking to develop those nuclear capabilities. Korea being one of them, Iran being another. And that idea scares the shit out of people, because it is truly, believed that if, some of these countries, some of these Muslim countries ever come up with a nuclear weapon, that they may decide to use it on some parts of Israel. They may be forgetting the fact that they live really, really close to Israel, so maybe they don't want to do that. But, it's a real, legitimate threat out there. And it's also believed that Israel has one of the largest stockpiles of nuclear weapons in the world. I think only like third behind the United States and Russia. So, yeah, it is scary out there. Okay. A couple of lighter stories. Well, this is not exactly light, but it's... let's see. From Turkey, women's rights activists and female legislators have filed a legal complaint against Turkey's deputy prime minister, who said last week that women should not laugh aloud in public. Irene said, not laughing out loud in public is among the requirements of being an honorable woman. Women in Turkey protested this comment on social media by sharing photos of themselves laughing. See, again, when you accommodate certain rights to one type of person but not the other, the people are going to get pissed off. And which brings us back again to gay marriage, which is now officially endorsed by Target. That's right. Target Corporation publicly endorsed gay marriage for the first time, joining a number of other companies that have taken side on the issue. The retailer said it signed an amicus brief in support of same-sex marriage for a pending court case. The retailer found itself heavily criticized by gay rights activists in 2010 after donating money to a political group that was backing a conservative Minnesota gubernatorial candidate opposed to gay marriage. And much like Chick-fil-A, if you don't want to go to Target, don't go to Target. That's fine. But, they support gay marriage now. And finally, I'm going to talk about this ice bucket fad before I get out of here. The whole thing of people, getting a bucket of ice and pouring it over their head in support of funding for research in ALS. I believe that's Lou Gehrig's disease. And the idea being that, you take the bucket of ice and you pour it over yourself, and allegedly it's supposed to give you a feeling of what it's like to have ALS. And if you get tagged in this video, donations we made in your name. Apparently, it's been making a gang of money. Appears to be quite successful since the association says it's received $15.6 million in donations since July 29th, compared with the same period of $1.8 million last year. So people pouring buckets of ice water on themselves, almost tenfolded their donations for the same period. That's amazing. So if you want to go out and do that, you go ahead. I have several friends of mine. Joanne Arnold, you know who you are, Keon, who have either done this or are planning on doing this. I'm not going to do it because it sounds really, really uncomfortable. And they say, well, that's the whole point, Joe, so that you can understand what it's like. See, no, you don't understand what it's like. You feel it for a second, but then you get a blanket. All right? You get a towel. You feel better. I think it's like saying, understand what it's like to be in a wheelchair for a day. I'm like, you know what? A day ain't shit. You ask me to do it for 10 years, then I might see your point. I'm not going to do it. You guys want to do it, you go ahead. Put the videos on. Let me know about it. Send them to me. Go ahead. Go nuts. But I'm a very comfortable person. I like being warm and dry. And if I am wet, I prefer bubbles to cubes of ice. And that is my time for today. Thank you so much for listening. Here's the last song by Nikki Lindsay King. It's called Take Me. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff. Hope you're here next time.